DJs and edit masters, mash together two unrelated musical works, put a sick bass beat under some dank rhymes, and avoid being sued by invoking the holy name of Bismarcky.
Because it's time to mash up Tull to me.
Did you ever want to be a DJ, Nick?
Not once. No, maybe a wedding DJ.
Welcome back. I am Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are Factless Momes.
And this, my friends, is Talk Tull to Me.
A midnight foraging dumpster dive into the digital wasteland of prog rock in which DJ McGill and MC Omega mix, remix, spin, and scratch over every single track that seminal prog rock band Jethro Tull has ever produced. Our chrome space helmets aglow, our anonymity gleaming, we will mix the Martin Barr beats, garble the Gideon gain, and drop the D. Palmer mic. All with the hope that party girl Ian Anderson will throw his hands up in the air like he just don't care.
It's the ultimate goal. Can I offer two edits? Can I change our names, our DJ names?
Oh, please, yeah.
So I think you should be DJ O Man, because DJ O, and I would be MC Magoo, obviously.
Oh, MC Magoo, I like that. Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
I would also go by DJ Otterboy.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
DJ Eyeliner?
That's interesting. Or just DJ Cheekbones. If that's not already taken, that may be taken.
DJ Spartan. DJ 6 Hour Spartan.
They don't call me 6 Hour Sade for nothing.
I'm not sure why, but they do call me that. There must be a reason.
Nick, hello.
Hey, Omen, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay.
Good.
It's nice to join you again for another fantastic episode of Talk Tull to Me.
We haven't recorded it yet, but we can assure you it is fantastic.
Today, we don't have any business in particular ahead of the song itself. And however, I do want to mention that I know we've promised this before, but this is, in fact, the final
bonus track
off of
Heavy Horses.
I didn't even remember what album we had just finished. It's like when you go and see a film in the cinema and there are so many previews that by the time they're finished, you're like, what is the movie that I bought a ticket for? I am excited to find out.
Why am I here?
But in reverse.
Yes. Yeah. We finished it. It's like finishing a book and you're like, what just happened? What did I read? What happened at the end of this?
It's like waking up after years of suffering from temporal fugue and think, why am I in Albuquerque?
Where can I go to vote for Carter?
So, Nick, what is the song about which we have the distinct pleasure of talking Tull about?
Goodness me.
Today?
Goodness me. This episode is brought to you by Old Ace's Die Hard, a pretty rockin' tune. So, without any further fluff and preamble, we got a long one in front of us. It's 8.5 minutes. Let's dive into that beastie.
Let's see if we can keep ourselves fluffed through that entire listen.
I've been working on my stamina.
I've been fluffing myself all day.
I'm chafed.
Let's have a listen. Nick.
Oh my goodness. Omen.
Old Aces Die Hard.
That song was so long we needed a pee break cap in hand.
We did.
So a look behind the microphone here. You listened to this ahead of time because it's such a meaty song, but you did hear it for the first time today, just not just now.
That's true. I did a kind of a preview of it. I just threw it on so that I wasn't totally unfamiliar with it. But
Right.
this was my first time really sitting down and focusing on it, listening to it dedicatedly. And holy bananas.
Yeah. It's such a good song. I really do like this one a lot.
It's been a minute since we've had a longer song like this, a real composed,
Yeah.
structured song of this nature.
It's kind of an epic experience in terms of music and
Absolutely.
content. There's a lot going on here.
Did you say both in form and in content?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It goes through a couple of different phases, and I love hearing the really gorgeous Baroque
Oh
style
my gosh.
acoustic guitar, which I believe is Ian starting us out.
Yeah.
Paired with the flute pretty soon after that.
I think it's 2 acoustics and 2 flutes.
Oh, really?
If I heard correct, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that very simple sounding opener, but God, is it gorgeous.
Well, I know that that's one of your favorite Tull sounds,
Yeah.
and it definitely is one of mine as well. It's that kind of, to my ears, very Roy Harper, almost Nick Drake inspired style of guitar playing.
Sure.
That I love. I think it reveals a sense of. I feel like it gives us a little window into Ian's soul, which is not something we get a lot of glimpses into.
Yeah, there's a lullaby fairy tale aspect to it that is, I will put that up there with Dee's strings in terms of the sounds that Tull consistently, efficiently, effectively produces that makes me melt. That sound is just so good.
And it's so unique. As many guitar players as there are in the world, this is something that I just think is really special, and I love hearing this sound. It's so cool, and it's so cool to hear it in this context, in this new way.
Yeah, as the opener to something that gets pretty raucous,
It does.
That opener, if we had just kept that really lovely the acoustic, the flute, that lasts for about 1:45. And
Yeah.
that could very well have just been, let's just pluck that out and drop that in Aqualung in terms of those really short little acoustic pieces that we used to get from Ian.
So this is what's funny about this song. To me, this song is like kind of an amalgam.
Oh my gosh,
amalgam.
is it? Yeah.
An amalgam of all of these different sounds and styles and content.
Yeah.
Into this one thing. It's like somebody dropped a penny into the Tull multiverse and it's rolled through a bunch of different albums, picking up stuff along the way, and somehow ended up as a full standalone piece. It's so cool.
I know this is dropping just after Halloween, but it's a Frankenstein's monster of Tull music.
Oh, I like that. But with a functioning brain.
Yes. Yeah. All parts are Ian Anderson, but it's still a Frankenstein's monster.
It's an Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Of Jethro Tull.
I'll take it. They all converge on one point. Yeah, I'm good with that.
With a mission
to save the world or the multiverse. Yeah,
the Tulliverse.
The Tullverse. Oh my gosh, we're getting deep. We're getting deep now. So we do have that 1:45 of beautiful acoustic. Then at about 1:45, the electric guitar comes in, the bass, the drums, and the keyboard.
The grass grows still through the concrete.
That's right after Unfinished Flyovers.
Yes. Yeah.
Crack in the Winter. Mm-hmm. Right, and I believe the first thing we hear is the bass, maybe paired with the drums, and then everything follows after that. But I love that. I love that drop because he really sets us up with that gorgeous acoustic.
Yeah.
So that when we do have the heavier instruments come in, I'm not gonna lie, Nick. I would never lie to you.
Don't lie to me
about something like this. I got goosebumps.
Oh, the bump of the goose. Yeah,
the bump. Oh, the goose. At several points during the song, and that was one of them. When the drop comes in, I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah, if I wasn't looking at the wave file and saw that it ballooned at 145, I would expect this to be like on par with like Pan Dance or something, where it stays kind of really nice and flowy the whole way. But that drop is great. I do love the varying textures. And can we talk about Martin for just a moment?
Oh, please, let's do.
Oh my gosh. He's so fun in this. Everybody, it feels like everybody, the ensemble of this piece, everybody is really kind of all on the same road, all working toward one goal. Whereas when you get Martin in these pieces, he is just going off road. He is weaving left and right. He is the flavorful. Normally, we would attribute this to the flute, where Ian is floaty and kind of all over the place, and every now and then he'll dip his toe into the melody, but it's really kind of an accent. But Martin takes accent on here, and it's really cool.
That's
a really good
That's
sound.
a really cool observation. I had not picked that out. I was so distracted by hearing all these kind of musical references almost, and I assume they must be intentional because everything with Tull is so intentional.
Yeah, but particularly with this song, everything is referential.
There's a wonderful part where the organ and guitar create a sound that is exactly like the sound from Pibroch.
Oh yeah, there's like a breakdown at about 3:05 where they kind of talk back and forth with one another.
Yes, it's after that.
Yeah.
It's toward
Okay.
the end of that.
Yeah, it's the next step of that breakdown.
Well, and the breakdown itself, what you're referencing, this kind of trading off of phrases between, it sounds to me like the organ and the synth and the flute are all kind of badmintoning these phrases back and forth between each other, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's John Evan has surgically implanted 4 more pairs of hands to play this song. He's clearly octopusing this, and he's doing a bang up job.
He is. I also think it could well be D. It could.
Yeah,
The two of them could be forming a quadrupus.
yeah.
A half an
That and
octopus.
also just chop an octopus in half, and you have 2 quadrupeds, quadrupodes rather. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, Nick.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, you pedant. But I think also there could just be layering of tracks, as we could see with all of these, with all of the various acoustics and all of the guitars and the multiple flutes. There's no reason they were all playing it at once. So it could have been John, but I do know that D has been featured on keys at varying times
In this era, certainly, whatever era
Yeah.
this might be. And that's
Yeah.
that's something that, lest we get into trouble, we maybe I mean, it's hard to say exactly when this was recorded. Maybe someone out there has the information. We could look for it, but we won't.
It is surprisingly difficult to find online, for what it's worth.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of the information about these bonus tracks are included in the physical media that you would get when you buy the 30th or the 40th year edition of things.
Uh-huh.
And then those aren't, as you say, those aren't posted online. And we, being digital Tull appreciators,
Yeah.
we're at a loss with some of those physical artifacts, the ephemera, if you will.
Do you know what's easier than looking it up?
No,
What? It's waiting for Doc Savage to yell at us in a
That's
week. And
that's true. So kind of structure-wise, we have this gorgeous intro. We have the sung first couple of verses. We have the band smashing in with, in the kind of the second verse, if you will. Then we have this incredible breakdown, and then it goes back to the band.
And it goes into that gorgeous sweep, too.
And the Blue Dawn.
Yeah, it slows down again and gets really
Right.
gorgeous at about 450.
It's a little bit more contemplative.
Yeah, that sound is very thick as a brick to me.
Yes, yes, it is.
And the blue dawn.
The poet and the painter on top of the hill, that's the imagery that I got there. Definitely.
And then toward the end, we go back to the more acoustic side of things. And, there's sort of this sense of like setting the stage, creating this big cataclysm, going into the spiritual afterlife, and then coming back to the present moment. I mean, this is really, I think you said when we were talking to the gentleman at Vernacular Verbose, you described Ian as a bard.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, he is really fulfilling that role in this song. He is taking us on a journey, and I forgot my handkerchief.
Oh, my nose is running again. This feels like the song you hear at the end of the musical that is pulling all of the references of everything that has happened up until this point.
Oh, the mega mix.
Yeah, it's so presentational that it's referential that it's there's like some tongue in cheek, there's some winks here and there, but ultimately it's telling you that all of these pieces have come together to tell you this story.
It's almost a microcosm. It's like if you decided to make a concept album, but you only were going to compress it into 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a concept song, which I know, like, in theory, every song is a concept song.
Yeah. But it's like the seed that you would plant to germinate a thick as a brick.
It's you're saying that, like, when the last prog musician finally dies and all of the prog albums have been destroyed in the Great Fire of Alexandria.
Yeah.
This is the song that is engraved on a sacred crystal, which is given to a young hero and taken to the ancient monument. And this is the seed from which all prog rock repopulates the earth.
Yeah. And it turns out he ends up being the first new prog musician by the end of the journey. Yeah.
Right. He plays the hyper trumpet.
Just a boy in his claghorn. That's it.
He pulls the claghorn from the stone.
That's it, yeah.
Shows that he's pure of heart.
From Ian's cold, dead hands. We get Hard Electric comes back in at just before 6 minutes.
When the dreams in his head were the stones in his bed and the shouts of the sun as it falls.
Which has some cowbell.
Guess what? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
And put that same old.
And then at around 7 minutes, we get this really nice, just single instance. I don't think I heard it anywhere before or after. At about 7 minutes, we get a little tinkly xylophone marimba action.
Oh, yeah.
Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da, ding, ding, ding. And that's really it. And then it wraps up in a minute and a half after that,
There's a lot of really, really delicious kind of textural proggy stuff going on in this song. Like, the kind of syncopated and off time signature throwing back and forth of those phrases that we talked about with keys and the flute. I do think that at some points this song is in either 3/4 or maybe 6/8. At some points, it seems like it's in 2/2 or 4/4. I'm sure there's some extra measures thrown in there at various points and some extra beats here and there.
Yeah.
And it really gives it that, like, can't quite catch your breath, exciting quality to it that we love.
Yeah, even in the transitions, even going into those slower pieces, you're finally catching your breath. But by the time you're like, okay, I can hit it, oh my God. And then he jumps into the electric again. This is such a good meaty Tull piece.
It really is.
My God, why is it not on some album? And I'm sure there's a reason for it, but gosh darn it, it's nice.
It's peculiar. Do you want to jump into the lyrics?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to pose a theoretical to you. Imagine if we had strings in here. There are no strings. Just imagine how much that would add. Or do you think it would get too muddy?
You know, Nick, shall I tell you an old Chinese tale?
I wish you would.
It's been a while since we've had an old Chinese tale. Old Chinese story time with Omen, with Uncle Omen.
I had some old Chinese tale in college, and let me tell you.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
No, I still haven't recovered from the indigestion. I heard a story once. I don't know where it came from or even if I'm telling it right, but the story was there was this rich, extremely wealthy Chinese businessman or almost kind of oligarch, somebody who had achieved this incredible power in ancient China.
Sure.
And he said, I want some art up in here. I'm going to commission an artist to paint me the most exquisite mural, the most perfect mural. It'll be the envy of all of my associates.
Yeah.
And so he hired this master artist, this master painter. And he said, I want you to paint this incredible landscape with a huge dragon. I want this to be the best dragon that's ever been painted. And the artist was like, all right. And so for months, the painter worked, and he created this stunning thing, more incredible than anyone had ever seen. It was at the peak of his skill. And he finished the dragon, but he only painted one of the eyes. And he said to his patron, he was like, I'm done. And the patron was like, what do you mean you're done? This dragon only has one eye. Like, you haven't finished this one part of it. Why would you do that? And the painter was like, oh, no, I'm finished. I'm not going to do it anymore. And the guy was like, that's insane. You have to do it. I'll kill you if you don't paint the eye. And he was like, well, I warned you. I warned you against this. One should never create a perfect work of art. And so he took out his brush and he painted the final eye, and the dragon came to life and ate up the businessman and flew away into the sky. The moral, you wasted enough of my time. The moral of the story is you should never create a perfect work of art.
Oh, so you're saying the strings were the final eye.
Of the dragon, yes.
Gotcha. And this has been Storytime with Uncle Omen, where every story is both inaccurate and apocryphal.
Now, go the fuck to sleep.
So there's a lot going on content-wise. Contextually, this is a lasagna made with Nona's ragu, and boy, there are so many flavors here. Let's talk overarching before we even get into citing pieces. This, I think, it seems a little silly to say this, but I think the best way to describe this is it is the sequel to Living in These Hard Times, as Wond'ring Again is the sequel to Wond'ring Aloud.
Ooh, that's really an interesting comparison. But I think it's not entirely accurate because it's not just a sequel. This song combines elements of Living in These Hard Times with elements from the song Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I kind of want to say like there's a little Jack in the Green reference talking about the grass growing through the pavement, but it's not a direct lyrical copy and paste like we have with Dark Ages and Living in These Hard Times,
I mean, if we're going to that level, we could pull out Mother Superior, which kind of harkens back to the Aqualung days, or the Football Crowds, which harkens back to But Where the Hell is Biggles, and and Where All the Sportsmen Who Always Pulled You Through. I mean, there's a lot of thematic things in here. I mean, even some of the structure of it does kind of remind me of a Passion Play or
sure.
The other one.
Thick as a Brick?
Thick as a Brick, thank you. A Thick Passion.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you're right. It just feels like he took the structure that was established in Living in These Hard Times and built upon it with these other pieces.
That's
as
true.
Opposed to, because it is the bulk. I would say the bulk of this context is coming from Living in These Hard Times. But you're absolutely right. He is pulling all of these past ideas that we've seen, and they may be disparate and long forgotten, but they're ideas that Ian always comes back to. So whether that it was intentional or not, I mean, he's really He's really hitting the Tull thesis here.
But let me disagree with you and say that you are right, because it is
dare
in
you.
a sense an extrapolation of the themes of living in these hard times to their mythic conclusion.
Yes, right. Yeah, to an apocalyptic end, to a darker, living in these hard times is kind of like a ho-hum everyday life kind of thing,
Yeah,
whereas
things
this
are getting
feels,
bad, but we'll carry
yeah,
on.
this is like post-apocalyptic. This feels like 1984 to me almost, or like
this
the
is-
jungle,
This is the whole gamut. This is things are getting
Yeah.
bad. The past used to be good. Oh my gosh, everything is being destroyed. And now, like the end of the story of Ragnarok, here is the seed that begins the new world. And here are all
Yeah.
the golden chess pieces of the gods lying around. I mean, it's really... And then we're all the way back to where we started. It's really like he's describing the life cycle of a universe here.
Yeah, right. Stories are cyclical, lives are cyclical, universes are. This is a beefcake of a song. My goodness.
It is sick and cyclical.
So we've got themes of more of what we've seen a lot of lately. We've got the industrialism, capitalism gone to the extreme. We've got the feeling of the climate change gone to the extreme. Honestly, I had this as a Stormwatch bonus track just because of how dark it was.
Well, yes, yeah.
But because it is that base of living in these hard times, that's why I transferred it over to Heavy Horses. But
Sure. So, yes, I agree. We start out with the kind of living in these hard times scenery, but then it takes us into the introduction of the new Dark Ages.
yeah,
where
yeah.
we start with society on the precipice and then we go over the precipice.
Right.
But the thing that is so amazing about this song is that it's not just a kind of mashup and mega mix of all these other themes and references. There's something that exists uniquely in this song, which is the concept of, though the pack's stacked with jokers, old aces die hard. I mean, that's where I got the goosebumps.
Well, it's
So hard.
Let me correct you here. Let's go back a couple of lines. You really got to take that whole stanza, because it's not though, it's through. Dark Ages spilling no secrets from the old house of cards that stand immune as the great disease rages through the pack stacked with jokers. Old aces die hard.
Dark Ages, spilling no secrets from the old house of cards. The stand immune as the great disease rages through the pack stacked with jokers. Old aces die hard.
What is that? What is that telling us? So, House of Cards is a phrase meaning something that is really precipitous, something that all it takes is one thing to send it falling apart. Think of a house of cards. All you need is a gust or to lose a single strut on the bottom and your whole thing falls apart.
Yes. So, Nick, for me, the reference to cards, yes, as you said, a house of cards represents something that is easily knocked over, something that is built on an unstable foundation. However, a deck of cards has structure. It's like a society. There are people at the top, there are people at the bottom, and then there's the ace, which is a little bit outside of everything and has the most power and the lowest
Right.
value.
Right, highest and lowest, yeah.
Right. And so I think that the entire phrase relates to Old Aces Die Hard, spilling no secrets from the old house of cards. Is it that the house of cards stands immune, or is it the old aces spill no secrets and stand immune as the disease rages through the pack stacked with jokers?
I know, it's difficult.
You have to be tricky with the Anderson's grammar because he uses the English language effectively.
Yeah, very, very effectively. Spilling no secrets from the old house of cards. So the secrets could stand immune. The Dark Ages could stand immune. The House of Cards could stand immune. And what is the great disease?
Well, you know what this reminds me of, and I think that this is a quote that we have perhaps referenced before on the podcast.
Okay.
Probably I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, especially for a song like this, because we are
It's a
seeing
theme.
so
Yeah,
much
exactly.
repetition, I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that we've covered.
But it reminds me of the William Butler Yeats poem, The Second Coming. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. I know I've read that on this podcast
Yeah,
before.
I haven't gotten to it in my re-listen yet,
Right.
so it must be. Let's see. I think I'm just about to start Thick as a Brick, so it's post Thick as a Brick.
It's probably in there.
Yeah, that's my thought.
But anyway, the idea of, things fall apart, the center cannot hold is sort of the moment of the world that we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
And the worst full of passionate intensity are sort of the jokers. And maybe that's even the great disease. The great disease is that society is eating itself up.
Yeah, right.
But old aces die hard, that there's something so hardy from the old world that it cannot be destroyed fully. Or with difficulty.
Right, yeah. I have an idea, and I'm not sure it really fits overall, but I just got this imagery as I was trying to decode these darn lyrics.
Yes.
Is this saying that people born into privilege are always going to be in power? The wealthy will always be wealthy. They're born with a silver spoon, a leg up, an ace up their sleeve, and being a pleb or a member of the hoi polloi, we can never beat them at that game. So, and it comes from forever ago. It's always been happening as long as there's been a semblance of wealth. That's where the Dark Ages comes from.
I see that. I see how you get that, and I think that you're wrong.
I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with that.
I understand that kind of that approach, but for me, it feels like something a little bit different. It feels to me like the old ace. Oh, and here's why I think that. Because we have referenced the last words of prime ministers drop like the pin, breaking the silence left by their cold feet.
The last words of prime ministers drop like the pin, breaking silence left by their cold feet.
So it's like the prime ministers are dying.
Right.
The ruling classes are dying off. The world is running to havoc. So I don't get the sense that, this is a song about the wealthy who are going to be all right in their ivory tower.
Okay.
I think this is about, when it's all said and done, you've still got the really tough people wandering the wasteland.
Yeah.
Because they're just too stubborn to die.
Right. I mean, I get the feeling of that old house of cards that stands immune. That was the thought of the wealth perpetuating itself.
Yes.
But I like yours. I like yours too, and better, I think.
Well, and if we go a little bit further forward.
Yeah. I think I just find it very difficult to pin a substantial, like, one sentence thesis on this song. I feel like because we've got a lot of those ideas that it's like it's kind of hitting at all these different things, and my mind is trying to get to that point, but I just can't.
I think it's the Ragnarok story. I think it's, the world is not right. Here are all the disastrous things that are happening. Here are all the ways that the world will be destroyed. Here are the last heroes. Mm-hmm. And one of their final acts is to plant their last seed on the withering land to grow in the dust of yesterday's wages.
Plant their last seed on the withering land to grow in the dust of yesterday's wages.
And that then we have that big breakdown, and then when we come out of it, it's 10,000 years away, and the seeds that were sown have grown into these, young men who it seems like they're naive, that they have no idea how they even got there.
Yeah.
They can't recall.
And the blue dawn cracks on the morning seeds that were sown into young men have grown, fathers too. The youngest child took place in the campfire sight, that as the night that he can't quite recall, he can't quite recall.
And what it comes back to at the end is put that same old kettle on and sing that same old pagan song.
And put that same old kettle on and sing the same old pagan song.
It's sort of, that's what, when humanity and when life has woken back up, that's what has remained. And I think that that's what the old aces are about. It's sort of people, it's almost like, oh my gosh, this is like, it's literally every single Tull song rolled into one. It's like the old hands quicken from heavy horses.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, those are the old aces.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The ones who are going to survive because they retain the horse knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. And I think just after that stanza that you quoted, the two Dark Ages, that really, really hammers it home now that you put it that way. Dark Ages, history's karma is rattling its chains. These two lines are amazing.
I love it.
Oh my God, they're so good. History's karma is rattling its chains, and Dark Ages, civilization's menstrual pains.
Dark Ages, history's karma is rattling its chains. Dark Ages, civilization's menstrual pains.
You're absolutely right.
Well, and what are both of those images? Karma is the idea that your actions have consequences.
You get what you deserve eventually, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's sort of two ways of looking at karma. One is that, you know, there's some kind of spiritual repository of good and bad acts that comes back to roost on you. And some of it is like, if you're an asshole to people, eventually someone's going to be an asshole to you.
Sure, right.
The seeds that you sow have real consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that sense of, you know, something coming back. And also, you know, menstrual pains, menstruation is the womb renewing itself.
Yeah.
Even though it's, you know, it can be an unpleasant process for the person experiencing it.
Right, yeah. So history's karma is rattling its chains is the thesis up until this point, is that circle coming around the bend and life needing to start over, life ending. And then civilization's menstrual pains is people 10,000 years later starting to crawl out of their caves again.
It's almost, you know, the womb of the world is shedding itself.
Oh, yeah.
In order to be reborn. And you know.
Because those cells are now useless. They are doing no good. So you get rid of them. Yeah.
And, oh,
I like this song exponentially more now.
It's so exciting. It's literally so much fun. What do you make of when the dreams in his head were the stones in his bed and the shouts of the sun as it falls and the women wake and they laugh as they shake their frosty sleep from their hair?
When the dreams in his head were the stones in his bed and the shouts of the sun as it falls, and the women wake and they laugh as they shake their frosty sleep from their hair.
Yeah, this feels, was it Space Odyssey, 2001 Space Odyssey, where they have the chimps and the bones and the big tablet, I forget what it's called. This feels very like caveman-y to me, you know? When the dreams in his head were the stones in his bed. So those dreams were uncomfortable while sleeping.
But then he wakes up.
And he shouts of the sun as it falls. That's exultation. That is greeting the sun. That's welcoming. You are here to warm us. You are here to provide light and energy. And the women wake up. It's hand in hand. The women wake up and they laugh as they shake their frosty sleep from their hair. That implies there is no heat source aside from the sun. So you bet your ass they're happy to see the sun.
But it says of the sun as it falls.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
It's just when you think you've got it figured out.
No, I thought I had it. Yeah. And shouts of this. Oh, so maybe they're upset that the sun is going down. I don't know. So those two lines, the men waking up with the stones and shouting at the sun, and the women waking up, could be two separate times.
I always shout at the sun whenever I see it. My neighbors have
Every
actually
time.
asked me to stop, but
Yeah.
freedom of religion, Nick.
Yeah, that's right. That solar-centric anger is really, I mean, it's what's gotten you this far in the world, and damned if you're going to stop now.
I love the reference to the kettle. It's like, oh, we've survived the apocalypse and the rebirth of the world. Suppose we'll have a cup of tea.
Yeah, right. Everybody's got to boil water for something. It is the most basic form of cooking. You get everything from there.
So is the implication that throughout the various dark ages of history, there have been the old aces who, because of their sheer will to live, have ensured that civilization can be reborn when it is its time?
That they were, for lack of a better term, they were the cockroaches that survived and were then able to propagate again. I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Have you read that book? I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. How the Irish Saved Civilization?
No.
It's about the Irish monks during the Dark Ages who were on these remote little islands who copied texts, Latin and Greek texts, and they are the literal reason, while libraries and other places were being destroyed and knowledge was being lost all over the world.
Right.
It's literally like this handful of monks is the reason that we have some of these really ancient texts, because they were just on their rocky island copying it from one book to another.
Doing their thing, yeah. There's always... Give it to me.
The seed vault at Sforbagal.
Yeah, I thought you were mentioning that early on in the intro when you were talking about planting the seed, when all the prog rock songs disappeared. I thought you were going to say, like, we saved the prog in a seed vault. That's where I thought you were going there.
This song is in that seed vault.
Yeah. Yeah, the seed vault, the apple trees at Cornell, sure. Even there are arboreta all across the country that have, like, the only version of a plant somewhere,
There are so many examples of human beings preserving something that is fundamental to life, whether it's language, whether it's rare yeast cultures, whether it's the knowledge of how to farm with some technique that's sustainable and doesn't rely on fossil fuels or intensive methods. And ultimately, that's what gets us through the big cataclysms that we experience in existence.
So if we weren't by nature hoarders, we would not have survived. And I mean, granted, hoarding has been taken to the extreme in some level, certainly in culture today. But I mean, there's a reason we like salt and fat and sweet. Lizard brain.
Right.
There's a reason we try to save everything and get something out of it. Lizard brain. It all comes back to that.
Say lizard brain one more time.
Lizard brain.
But I think there's a difference between, the prepper movement, who's like, well, we're just gonna have all the bullets and all the meals, the ready-to-eat meals in our bunker, and we'll be safe here. Yeah. There's a difference between that and the people who are like, I know how to grow a tomato in this special way. One of those is like, I'm gonna hoard all of the resources that I can
because I don't have any viable skills to stay alive aside from shooting things.
Right. And and the other is like, I remember how to brush a horse. And I tell you which one of them I would prefer any day.
Grandpa, what's a horse?
I'll show you.
Is there anything?
No, there's not. There's nothing.
Don't even try. Is there anything of your father that you see? How is your father an old ace?
Oh my gosh. I mean, he has survived just in so many extraordinary ways. He's had like 5 different careers. He's lived in so many different places. He's had various health problems that he's recovered from, and come out the other side healthy.
Mhm.
He's survived divorce. He's survived the death of his second wife. I mean, and he just keeps going. He just keeps
is
going.
Stalwart and stoic. And
Yeah.
he a rolling stone gathers no moss, and D. Sade has been rolling at the slowest of paces for the last 90 years.
He rolls just fast, just slow enough to still get boss.
Yeah, he just goes. He goes.
And he's one of those people who retains and sees value in ancient knowledge.
Sure, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, the man makes his own guitars.
I know, it's really absurd.
Yeah, he's a luthier.
He's a luthier, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I'm lucky to have that example, and I try to. I think that all of us can find our own way of being life preservers.
Yeah,
I am inflatable.
it's true.
You just have to find where to blow.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to insert the pump in a very specific spot. It's a party trick. It's gotten you kicked out of many a bar. Oh, wow. Any final notes on the thesis that is Old Aces Die Hard, Omen?
I want it as a tattoo. I want
The full script?
I want the groove pattern of the record blown up
Oh, nice. Cool.
and written on my body.
Yeah. That's I would consider an Old Aces Die Hard tattoo of some kind.
Who would be a famous old ace, quote unquote, from literature
Oh, from literature.
or from films?
Prospero?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gandalf, were you going to say?
I was gonna say Gandalf.
Yep.
That guy from Die Hard.
Bruce Willis?
Yes.
Why? Oh, Old Aces. Yeah, okay.
It's called Die Hard.
Old Aces, Die Hard.
Right.
Or Die Hard, no.
Old Aces.
Die Hard, parentheses, Old Aces.
Right.
Yeah, I think any like
Judi Dench.
character actor, Judi Dench, I would say John Malkovich is probably an Old Ace. Yeah, any one of that really Maggie Smith, those people that you just watch on screen and they are just
Betty White.
the incomparable
Snoop Dogg.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Betty White.
Yeah. Nick,
Omen.
anything else that we are going to say about this song right now
I don't think so.
before we think about it for the rest of our lives?
I don't think so. There are direct lyric references. It's not just references. There are direct lines picked up from Living in These Hard Times. Basically the first 2 lines, and then there's maybe one other.
The bones in the china.
That's it. Yeah.
Or the bomb is in the china, depending. The fat's in the fire. There's no turkey left on the table. I mean, those last bits.
Yeah, and then all the way down to the stable as well. Yeah. So the opening couplet and then basically the closing couplet actually are direct line references. Yeah. So next week, Omen,
Yes.
do you know the first song off of Stormwatch? Off the top of your head? I don't even remember it. I gotta look. Oh my gosh, yes.
Something's on the Move?
No. That's the first off of side B, actually. So I'll give you partial credit.
Oh, okay. What's the first off of side A?
It's North Sea Oil.
Oh, North Sea Oil.
Yeah, back to the North Sea we go.
Remind me to tell you something about the North Sea Oil and how it relates to my family by marriage.
Very
week.
cool. Okay, I will write that note. And I just want to defend myself very quickly. Last week, I was a dummy and mentioned dinosaur bones from the Isle of Wight, not the Isle of Skye. But Tull performed a concert on the Isle of Wight, and they have a live album and DVD of that. So I want partial credit. That's all I'm asking for. Okay.
Great. I'm glad that you brought that back up when it was necessary to do so.
I needed to defend myself.
Until next week, you don't have to have an ace up your sleeve to survive the apocalypse.
Oh, that was good.
All you need is 5 stars, which you can submit to us as the form of a review and a rating. And that will help us sow the seeds of the next listener.
Woo! Don't worry about history's karma. Just focus on your karma. It's rattling its chains, and you will get good karma in return when you go to our Patreon page. And I feel like it's been a while since we've bragged about what you can get through our Patreon. And that's 2 extra episodes a month. One is outtakes, and one is correspondences with writer-inners. We deep dive. It's access to our Discord server, where there is a lot of amazing content and chat there. And what was the last one? Oh, and access to our live listening parties. We just had one, I think, a week ago.
We had our first live listening party about a week ago, and it was a massive success. It was lovely to meet the other Tall Skulls, and people came in from all over the world, and we enjoyed a live album together, and it was really great.
And we have people champing at the bit for another one, so we may be scheduling that soon. Hopefully you also become a patron at patreon.com/talktultome.
You will wake up laughing every morning and shake the frost from your hair when you realize that you have access to all of the Feckless Moans content.
And merch. Don't forget merch. We got merch. Go to the link in the notes. Until next week, I am the old pagan song, Nick McGill.
I am the chirping kettle that is Omen Sade.
We are the bale of straw for the stable, the Feckless Moans.
And this is the seed from which all of civilization will be reborn. Talk Tull to me.
Oi, who are you? What do you want?
Hey, I was just wondering if I could join your society, because there's just like a lot of doom and death out here, so I was wondering if I could like come in.
We don't let anybody in for free, so you gotta work for your food and your shelter. What can you bring to this community?
Well, I've got skills. I know all of the best Instagram angles. Watch this. Look at this. Oh, and then turn the hip like this. Oh my God! Look how good you look. I'm like, oh my God, seriously.
That's not a phone. It's a block of wood.
Ah!
Useless.
Hello. Yes, I was wondering if I could join your society, because people are literally eating each other out here.
You do look delicious. Maybe we'll eat you. What can you provide us in this community?
I can describe the taste of every single kind of old brandy. And I have exquisite taste in interior yacht design.
I don't see any yachts or brandy anywhere around here.
I have $10,000 in old American cash. Let me in, goddammit.
We have plenty of kindling. Get out of here.
My money.
Oh, I hate this job, but it's all I can do.
Excuse me, wondering if you need another pair of hands around here.
Maybe. What can you do?
I've got some ancient wisdom that has probably been forgotten by every other being on this godforsaken planet.
What does it pertain to? We've got a lot of smart people, but there's not much to go around in terms of, technology.
Listen, bend your ear close to me, young man, and let me tell you.
What is it?
Talk Tull to me is a proud member of the Feckless Moans audio network.
Oh dear God. I don't think I should be hearing this. You need to come in here right away.
I could take a really good selfie of you if you weren't impaled by that stake.
My spleen!